Well, first up, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has requested the local government ministry to ensure metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies ensure strict enforcement of the temporary ban on the export of grains for a period of 6 months. A letter from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to the local government ministry reads, we'll put it up in a bit. It says the Ministry of Trade and Industry in this letter dated 13th April conveyed approval of His Excellency the President to extend the temporary ban on the export of grains for a period of 6 months effective the 1st of April 2022 to the 30th of September. On account of this directive, consequential action is being taken to ensure strict enforcement at all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. Accordingly, we kindly request your ministry to issue the required directives to MMDAs to take the necessary action with the involvement of the DISEX to disseminate information and intensify the monitoring of trucks carting grains from market centers to neighboring countries. We urge the prompt action is taken at all times with the involvement of the security agencies to give full effect to the directive of His Excellency the President. And so that's the letter from the Ministry of Agriculture to the local government ministry on the ban on grain export. Joining me via Zoom, Anthony Morrison, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, and Bismarck Osunorte, Programs Officer, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. I want to start by asking your thoughts, Anthony, on the ban and how effective you think it has been in addressing our food security challenges.
Well, thank you very much. Very good afternoon to the televiewers and the struggling agribusiness industry in Ghana. They are doing a yeoman's job. But I think that this has come a bit too late. As we have said last year and early this year, Burkina Faso actually placed a ban on this somewhere early last year. The chamber alerted the government. We also called on government last as a result of the low harvest across the board that there was a need for us to put a ban on the export of some essential commodities. But we were in this country when the minister approved the export of soya some few weeks ago. And I don't know what data was available to him before he gave this approval. And just after a few weeks, he's extending or strengthening or putting in place a new ban. For me, it's little to do about nothing. We do not even have the product at all at the first place to even be putting a ban on. A lot of poultry farms are struggling. Over 300 poultry farms have collapsed. As we speak, 50 kg of maize is being sold at 180 in Kumasi. Okay? We are having challenges with several commodities. So it's not about, it's just, let me say, it's window dressing. This will not solve the problem on the ground.
Well, Bismarck, yeah, sorry to cut you, but I want to bring in Bismarck because reading this statement, I get the feeling that compliance is a bit of a problem because the Ministry of Agriculture is asking for the MMDAs to involve security agencies to disseminate information and intensify monitoring of trucks. You deal with smallholder farmers. In terms of compliance, what are you hearing, Bismarck?
Yeah, thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think when it comes to the issue of compliance, it's very difficult to place that on the smallholder farmer. The farmer is just responsible for growing food and ensuring that they are available. But when it comes to carting and moving this food across the borders, that's where you expect the work of the security agencies to be apt. But unfortunately, even with the COVID restrictions that even had a ban on movement of people and goods across the borders, we still saw movement of agricultural goods and inputs across the borders. Issue of compliance, issue of ensuring that our borders are closely guarded to reduce the impact of moving produce, agricultural produce in general, both from the country and even outside the country, has been a major problem. So if we were able to work well on compliance or monitoring or ensuring that our border points are really guarded. Maybe there's some little I could solve it, but I really struggle to see how the agencies will up their games. If they up their games, then probably the little that we have, as my colleague mentioned, if there's little that we have and might be crossing the border, then they can avert it. But if they don't up their game, we are just issuing statements and.
All right, this mic is frozen there, but if I still have you, Anthony, I guess it's a good policy. We all think so, at least. And so the issue is the execution of the policy. Tell us about what you think the impact would be if we're able to really execute this ban on green exports.
Yes, Darrell, my expectations were that a month ago, when the Chamber called on the government to set up the National Food Security Strategy Committee, if that committee was in place, which obviously would have involved the police, the military, the MMDC, and the district agriculture directors, by now, some of these interventions that they are bringing, which is too late, would have been curtailed. But of course, we have a situation at hand, and this is what we have. Let me also add that, you see, this is not the time to be focusing on ban. This is the time, this is a major season, and this is the time to be focusing on how we can supply fertilizer, seeds, agrochemicals, and the right amount of whatever that is required to all farmers across board in this country. Otherwise, the ban will amount to nothing, to tell you the truth. Because what is happening in the industry is highly critical. And you are talking about MoFA. What are we doing? Government itself should be setting up or give money to the Grains Council or other places to buy a mop-up soya, maize, and put in their warehouses. How much of food do we have in our buffer stock? Government should not, MoFA should not be bothering themselves with the ban. If you think that we are having problem with food, which of course we are, then look for money, buy enough produce, and warehouse them. Because look, even this will even derail the investment into the industry. Because yes, to come out with such a statement, it negates the activity that the private sector put in. So the amount of money that the private sector will have to put in into production, aggregation, and support of farmers, statements like this will not incentivize them. It's not good. I mean, to put it bluntly, it's not a good statement at all.
Wait, I want to turn to Bismarck. Sorry, I want to do this in time. I want to turn to Bismarck because of some other news we're following to do with the struggle for fertilizer. We're hearing that smallholder farmers are having issues with fertilizer supplies. And we're hearing that government owes the Chamber of Fertilizer Suppliers, or the Chamber of Fertilizer Ghana, so much. Bismarck, how much does government owe? How has that impacted the work of smallholder farmers?
Well, the information that we are picking from the Chamber of Fertilizer Suppliers indicates that government owes them up to about 400 million Ghana cedis. And this debt is accruing from 2020 and 2021. For 2020, our information is that some amount has been paid, but a lot still needs to be paid. For 2021, no single payment has been made to this company. And that's having a big toll on we, the smallholder farmers. Because the effect of it is that the companies are not able to raise money to buy fertilizers from the world market. Mind you, because of the issues of COVID and Russia, prices of these products have become very, very expensive. And then the suppliers to or the producers are looking for companies who have money. Unfortunately, our companies are not that liquid enough to raise that money because of the debt being by government. So the challenge is that we are not getting access to the surplus fertilizer because government is not able to pay them. As we are not able to get access to them, the implication is that we have to now rely on the fertilizers on the open market, which are very expensive. If you want to get a fertilizer on the open market, the 25 kg you are getting for not less than 200 Ghana cedis, and that's quite high. If you compound that with the increasing cost of production that we are facing currently as farmers, it's ridiculous. Every production cost that farmer is incurring, if you compare how much you spent last year to how much you are spending this year, all the prices have more than doubled.
I was told that you were engaging government on the high cost of production. What was the outcome of that engagement?
Well, we've not had any, for the fertilizers, we are informed that government is working to see to pay and also try and see whether we could begin to move towards alternative forms of fertilizer, that's the organic. We are still yet to see much light on that. But for the other cost of production, we've not seen much work or much work being done on that. So we are still at a loss on that. So what we are supposed to do now is to produce at high costs, and when that happens, the costs will also have to push the consumer to bear the cost of it.
I see. I want to throw the last question to you, Anthony. Do we have a leadership problem here? I heard you yesterday on radio call for the resignation of the Minister of Food and Agriculture.
Yes, I think so. Look, what I would have expected the minister to do right now is to meet the fertilizer importers, arrange the Bank of Ghana or Ministry of Finance to make available a credit line, okay, a credit guarantee to them, so they can use the government bond and import fertilizers for this farmers. But he's sitting down there thinking about his presidential ambition, whereas food prices continue to increase in this country day in, day out. So yes, there's a crisis issue. We have a minister who should be focusing on his job and making sure that there is enough fertilizer available, good seeds available, and also good agro inputs. Okay, but he's focusing on his presidential ambition, and I think that it's high time he steps down, because the challenges facing the industry requires a major reform for us to be able to catch up. We have the Africa Free Trade Continental with us. If care is not taken, we are going to start importing 3 times what we have been importing. And that is going to destroy the industry. As I've said earlier, industries have collapsed, and that is the biggest employer in the agriculture sector.
Thank you so much, Anthony Morrison, CEO of Chamber of Agribusiness, also Bismarck Owusu Norte, who is a programs officer at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana.